Hello there, my name is Tom Scrollo and I have a very important cryptocurrency update for you today. In this video I really want to talk to you about the S&P 500, some on-chain data and some really interesting historical correlations between inflation and Bitcoin versus gold and the general market sentiment and some haters on Bitcoin, etc. And really wanted to show you some small technical analysis in smaller time frames and show you an example of how some people got whacked yesterday actually. And one of the trades that I personally missed myself because it happened during the night here in Dubai, unfortunately. So without any further ado, let's just get right into it. And before we do, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you're notified when I make a new upload, and hit that like button. Guys, girls, it's so much easier to hit a like button than to actually create these videos on a daily basis. So some noise in the comments for Mr. Spot On right now, like button, and let's just jump right into it. First thing that I want to discuss is this S&P 500 chart right now. In one of the previous videos I mentioned that our last resort currently is this level at 42.25, and we actually broke it yesterday, and we are currently coming back to it to potentially retest it in this area right here right now. Let's take a look at a smaller time frame. There we go. We had some small consolidation in a 15-minute chart, and we're going to be retesting it right now. So if we're going to actually break above, that's going to be a nice thing in at least a very short-term perspective. That's going to help Bitcoin, because again we're regaining this correlation currently in a very short-term perspective between Bitcoin and S&P 500. So this is going to be quite nice. But if we're going to get rejected from this level in S&P 500, that's not going to be that very good. And again, as I mentioned before, this is currently one that kind of we're losing a lot of support in S&P 500 currently, and obviously it's going to be going even lower because of all the interest rate increases that are coming this year. But nonetheless, let's move to Bitcoin right now. Let's take a look at what's going on in a very short-term perspective. So in the daily chart, remember I mentioned all of these levels previously, and we're currently being squeezed in this vicinity right here. And also, if you haven't seen my previous video on this topic, please go back and check it out right now. And also I'll put a link right here or right here for you to check out my Bybit tutorial on how to trade on Bybit and how to use leverage if you are into high-risk trading, which you should be experienced to do it. But nonetheless, here is a link so you can check it out and learn how to do it properly and how to use the platform. So currently, again, between two moving averages from the weekly chart and the daily chart, one from below, the other one from above. Again, in the previous video is all of that information. But right now, we actually found some support after all in this diagonal level right here, which is quite nice. But if we go to a smaller time frame, I'm going to show you how a lot of people actually got whacked yesterday, because a lot of people and some YouTubers also actually, let me turn off the volume, actually got into this break right here and got completely smacked when the price went down, and retested this level, this diagonal level actually in the 15-minute chart, and also the daily level right here, the yellow one. So this is quite interesting because it is kind of a double power in terms of support, because we have this in the daily chart that we've seen before, and also this wedge, this kind of a downward channel. So we had this false break of it, which was quite easily tradable, and also this bigger false break in general from the daily chart. A very nice entry, and we saw some volume here as well. Really nice entry in either of these two spots for a long trade, with a potential target of about 38,500, just because we could have been rejected from this level yet again. So if you've taken this trade, congratulations, a really nice trade. And if you want to be trading actively, and if you want an extra $4,100 for your active trading, there is an exclusive link down in the description of this video to create your own Bybit account, deposit money into it, and get $4,100 in free bonuses in real money for your trading. So use this opportunity right now. And also a 30% discount on commissions. So what is happening currently is that we are sort of breaking out of it with some volume. Finally, we had some fake out here, and then maybe some people actually got smacked in this area. But again, this kind of a trade, when we're going down in this kind of a even channel, I would probably prefer to take some kind of this false break and long it. So because we actually have 2 levels in this area, so a lot more support than just 1 level. So this would be my personal preference, but again, it was during the night, so I missed it, unfortunately. So what is more important, that currently our target of this breakout, if this breakout completely works out, then we could say that potentially our target could be around, around $40,000, just an approximate one. But remember, these kinds of breakouts don't necessarily always meet the targets because it's all very basic and very technical. So at the potential target of about $40,000, and it's also important to understand that there is some kind of a level here with the accumulation zone in this area. So $40,000 might be even too optimistic in a super short-term perspective. But if it works out, in that instance, our target, most important target you have to remember, is 45,700 at this time, which we failed to go past many times, and this has been level confirmed in this area especially and previously. So right now either Bitcoin is going to finally make that push above, and this is going to be a very nice long trade for a complete breakout and the reversal of Bitcoin going into an uptrend, or a complete breakdown, which is going to be really terrible. But I'm still sticking to my prediction that we're not going to go lower than $34,000, which previously worked out really nicely. But guys and girls, there is more important information that I really wanted to share with you in this video, because right now I am seeing, honestly, especially in YouTube comments and in the Telegram group and on Twitter, by the way, follow me on Twitter, just a verified account, and a lot of people, I've been hearing from a lot of people saying that Bitcoin is dead, it's over, you know, it's all a pyramid scheme and it's never is going to go anywhere, there is no value for Bitcoin, etc. And Bitcoin, especially the biggest one, is that Bitcoin is a terrible hedge against inflation, blah blah blah, and that Bitcoin has already reached its peak and it cannot cost more. In reality, this is the same thing that we have heard so many times about Tesla, about the markets in general, about Amazon. I mean, ask Elon Musk how many times did someone tell him that his company would fail miserably. Now, well, who is laughing? So the same thing is Bitcoin. I mean, it's a baby, it's absolutely fresh, it's absolutely new, it's so damn young. It's unbelievable, it's like only a bit more than 10 years old. When the markets, you know, some markets have existed for I don't know how long, and they've been always in the uptrend overall. And this is the same thing when it comes to the understanding of the performance of any new asset that actually brings revolution to the world and transparency to the funds, and in my personal opinion is far better than dollars, than euro, than any currency that is being printed and printed and printed endlessly. I mean, how much does it take for the economy to collapse when they keep printing paper? That is just after Nixon in the United States, when United States dollar went off of gold standard, that's it. That was the end of the dollar, and it went right into the debt system, from the gold standard to the debt system, and that's it. So I mean, how valuable, what value does that paper have when Bitcoin is truly limited, everything is transparent, and there isn't gonna be, you know, any sudden increase in the supply of Bitcoin, and just in general, the monetary system itself is engraved in stone in terms of the code itself, so it cannot be altered. So this is value, this is power, the speed of the transfers, the cost of the transfers. I mean, try sending $1 million in euro right now from, I don't know, Dubai to United States. Good luck. Good luck to you explaining where the money is from, having your accounts frozen, and etc. Even if you have a legitimate business, you have a good relationship with the bank like myself, it's just an endless nightmare. So I'm personally gonna be soon full on crypto. But this is not the most important thing I really wanted to mention, that, you know, whenever there is something going up, there's always gonna be those dogs barking endlessly that this is the end of whatever asset that we are talking about. This is always historically has been happening, and I think that they're barking simply because they really feel bad for themselves that they actually missed this train and missed the opportunity to become filthy rich. So for this reason, they're just pissed off, and that's why they're shitting all over the place. Now, about the hedge against inflation. So many people are saying that Bitcoin is so bad, a terrible hedge against inflation, and that it's not going to be digital gold, etc. And my biggest question is, what are you basing your opinion on? Because we had gold for, I don't know, thousands of years, right? And in the current financial system, we've had it for decades or hundreds of years. So we actually have data to see how gold performs at the times of high inflation, and draw some correlations and see what happens. In Bitcoin, it's such a new asset, still brand new, it's a baby. So we don't really have any data. We don't really know how Bitcoin performs at the times of incredible crisis. We don't know what's going to happen at the time of incredible inflation. Certainly we can say that, it's a high risk asset. If S&P 500 is going down, it's going to correlate for sure. But in a long-term perspective, this is a short-term perspective. And you cannot evaluate the capability of being a hedge against inflation by looking at 1 day or 1 month or 1 year. You need at least like 2, 3, 4, 5 years to understand and say, okay, yeah, it is a hedge against inflation, or it's not a hedge against inflation. So those who are making these claims are just uneducated, in my personal opinion. So, and if we look at some interesting data right here, then you will see that this is inflation hedge and whether Bitcoin beats inflation. And right here, you will see that actually the blue sticks right there are the times when Bitcoin is doing better than the inflation or worse than the inflation. So it's actually doing really well when it comes to inflation. And if we can compare it to S&P 500, here is S&P 500, and it's doing considerably worse against, so it's definitely not a hedge against inflation. Well, I mean, this is just common sense because S&P 500 is a high risk asset, so it goes down when there is inflation and the interest rates are increased, blah, blah, blah. But if it would be so correlated with Bitcoin, and if we could say that Bitcoin is such a terrible hedge against inflation, then the chart would actually, this one, when it comes to Bitcoin, would look very similar to S&P 500. I mean, isn't that just common sense? That's what it would look like. So even now, with this little information that we have, and Bitcoin being such a new asset, we already see the signs that it's actually a good, and it actually outperforms the inflation. So isn't this a good sign already? And I mean, within the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, the way Bitcoin is built, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a good hedge against inflation, especially with the mass adoption, because we still are, I mean, there isn't enough Bitcoin for everyone in the world, right? Number one. And number two is that only about 2% of businesses and millionaires and people in general in the world are actually exposed to Bitcoin. So just think about it. So for that reason, I mean, selling your Bitcoin right now in this dip, thinking and screaming and stomping your legs like a chicken, saying that, no, it's all garbage, it's going down to zero. This is the worst time to do this, in my personal opinion. That's why the other day I bought myself one more Bitcoin. I'm buying them bit by bit, step by step as the price is going down. So I get this average entry price just like Tesla or MicroStrategy, about like $30,000 to $35,000, $37,000 average entry price, and this is best for me. And again, if it goes down to $20,000, if my prediction of $35,000 per Bitcoin is not gonna come to life and I'm gonna be wrong, in that instance, I'm gonna find more money of that crap that I have in the safe. And if you've been following me for a while, then you know exactly how much I have in the safe of dollars. So I'm gonna use those and buy the dip consistently and constantly, and I believe in it. So this is just my take on it. So stay smart, stay rich. I hope that you've enjoyed this unconventional video. Let me know down in the comments if you enjoy these kinds of videos and if I should do more of these talking videos as well on philosophy of Bitcoin and general outlook and market sentiment. And as always, peace and love. Thomas Krallo. I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio.